of a military air base in western Iran is in line with a decision by the country's Supreme National Security Council. Alauddin Boudigerdi confirmed that Russian warplanes have been using Iran's Noje air base only to get refueled. He said the move is part of Iran's cooperation with Russia in combating terrorism. The Iranian lawmaker, however, rejected allegations that the facility has turned into a Russian air base and said that Russian warplanes have not been deployed there either. Early on Wednesday, Iranian Parliament Speaker Ali Larijani also said that Tehran had not provided Russia with a military base inside of the country. He said the establishment of any foreign military base is against the Constitution of the Islamic Republic. Meanwhile, Russia's foreign minister says that the use of an Iranian airbase for conducting airstrikes on terrorist positions in Syria does not violate any UN Security Council resolution. Sergei Lavrov told reporters that Moscow has not supplied or sold any warplanes to Tehran. He said that Russia is only using Iranian facilities for its anti-terror operations in Syria. The remarks follow U.S. accusations that Russia has been violating the UN Resolution 2231, which prohibits the sale of combat jets to Iran. Meanwhile, Russian military officials say the airstrikes conducted from the Iranian air base have killed over 150 terrorists in Syria over the past 2 days. Marcus Papadopoulos, publisher and editor of Politics First, joins us from London. So you're having a concerted effort to root out terrorists, and Russia and Iran are cooperating in that respect. You would think that the U.S. and its allies should be happy about that if they also share the same goal of eradicating these terrorists. Why are they not?
Well, as you just said, if they share the same goal of eradicating the terrorists, and my response to that is no, they do not share the same goal. Look, the deployments of Russian strategic bombers to Hamadan Air Base in Iraq, and the news now that Russian combat planes will be able to refuel in another base in Iran heralds a significant development, not just in terms of the conflict in Syria, but also for relations between Russia and Iran, and the wider implications for the Middle East. In terms of the situation in Syria, the terrorists there will be under unrelenting pressure day and night, because the Russian Air Force will be able to carry out more bombing missions using its strategic bombers, because the distance will have been shortened. Russian bombers won't be flying from Russia anymore, they will be flying from Iran. And because the distance is shorter, it means the Russian bombers will be able to carry more bombs. So the terrorists in Syria will face a tsunami of Russian bombing attacks. Syria, but also as well, what we can see emerging here is that when the Syrian government is victorious in the conflict in Syria, which I believe it will be, and I believe it's inevitable, we could see the emergence of a Russia-Iran-Syria alliance in the Middle East, and that would counter the already existing US alliance between Moscow, Tehran, and Damascus does emerge. That can only be greeted with applause, and people should rejoice, because what it will mean is that the Middle East would become more stable, because American aggression and expansionism in the region will be checked.
Do you think the type of reaction that the U.S. has had is worrying for them? Because again, were Russia to be successful in this operation via Iran's airbase, which cuts the time, as you said, to 60%, and increase the success they've had against the terrorists, that then it would make the U.S. and its allies look weak, or that they are worried that perhaps some of the supposedly these so-called moderate rebels that may be targeted as a result is something they don't want to happen?
I think it would make them look weak. I think it would sideline them even further. I think the Washington and its allies in the region, Riyadh, and we can also say Ankara, would be concerned that their grip on the Middle East will become weakened, and that Iran will be in a very, very strong position, because it will, as I said, as I believe it will happen, there will be some sort of alliance with Moscow. So Iran will not be able to be bullied anymore, as the West and its allies has been doing for almost 30 years. But also as well, yes, you're right. I think that there's going to be even more pressure, even more intense pressure on America's allies, terrorist allies in Syria, because the Americans still to this day are hoping that their allies in Syria, which is all the various terrorist groups, will still be able to defeat the Syrian army on the battlefield and will be able to overthrow the Syrian government. Now, they know that increased relations between Russia and Iran, political, economic and military, as we are now seeing, can only spell bad news for America's plans in Syria. But while it might be bad news for America and its allies, it is good news for the world in general, because the closer that Russia, Iran and Syria come together, it means that the days of the terrorists in Syria will be numbered, and therefore the threat posed by the terrorists to the Middle East, to North Africa, to Europe and so on will become ever more diminished. So, you know, the developments regarding the Russian strategic bombers being deployed to Iran should be applauded by people around the world, and people should rejoice in that.
Thank you very much for your comments. We appreciate it. Marcus Papadopoulos, publisher and editor of Politics First, there from London.